And we are live. We want the gold, sucker. We want the gold, sucker. Welcome everybody to the show this week. I'm your boy Ben Goosen, and this week I had to roll solo. It's the summer. It's the summer. It's the solstice. Y'all remember in June we had the summer solstice when the sun is out longer than it's ever been out before? It's a day where the sun rises and the sun sets, and you have sunlight longer than you've ever had sunlight before. We are here with the summer solstice episode, with the Summerslam episode. We are going back again. Now we're going back to the asylum today. You're gonna know what I'm talking about if you've had a chance to watch Raw. But you know what? I'm missing my buddy. I'm missing my partner in crime. I'm missing Sage Mark. If y'all are watching the live version right now when we record this, and we record this live, if you follow us on Twitter at Real WrestleCast, we go out live and we post the live links. You can come and chat with us live. You could ask us questions or hit us up. Let's see, at Real WrestleCast. You could hit us up. Give us a call. 419-777-IRWP. I don't know what the numbers are behind IRWP, but you could hit us up anytime. I don't have Sage Mark this week, so what did I do? In the great words of Triple H, you go out and you get the click. Break it down. I got one of the guys from the highest downloaded episode we have ever had. You've heard him go up against Guru the God. He's been on the show several times. He's a good friend of mine. Very close. He's a family member of the IRWP. If you're watching the episode live, you see the IRWP shirt in the back. You see the IRWP skirts in the back. You see them all. They're all in the back. He is a proud family member and a welcome jobber. I have to welcome my boy, Dobby Amore.
Yo, what up, Goose?
What up? Dude, glad to have you back.
I love being called a jobber, man. It's pretty. I feel like that's exactly what I am to this show. I'm the ultimate jobber, man.
You're on the verge. You know what? You're on the verge. So we have a lot of listeners. For those of y'all listening, we have over 2,000 downloads, which is insane because that's people who don't just listen to like the first minute, 2, 3, 4 minutes. That's people who are listening to the show, not just subscribers. I'm talking downloads, the raw data. We have our jobbers, and Dobby Amore, he's a jobber for sure. But you know what he's on? You know what you're on the verge of? I feel like you're on the verge of. You remember when the 1-2-3 Kid hit that moonsault on Razor Ramon on Monday Night Raw and pinned Razor Ramon, and that was the start of how he got his contract?
Oh, I remember, man. I remember.
Yeah, are there any other jobbers that we could think of that have maybe Ellsworth?
Ellsworth was the first thing that came to mind. Ellsworth, ultimate jobber, and look what he's done for himself, dude. Even left, had some success outside WWE, came back. I mean, I'm feeling Ellsworth, dude. I think about the Brooklyn Brawler. Was he? Could you call him a jobber?
Oh yeah, career jobber.
Did he ever win a match?
As a wrestling fan, I should know that. Oh man, what is that? Some whiskey soda that you're sipping on as we get into the show?
A little more low, dude. I'm going wine today, bro.
Oh, you're going classy.
I'm going a little classy today, man.
Well, I'm going with a bourbon and soda for the show today. We got a great show today. Now, we got a special guest, so I have to respect that special guest. I have to respect his time and his effort that he's putting in, and I gotta appreciate it. So today we're gonna get right into it. Let's get right into the show. It was a go home week, for sure. A go home week. We had Raw, which was straight go home. Let's build up to SummerSlam. Let's load up on the subscribers, all that good stuff. I got to say two things on Raw that happened this week, and we're not going to do a full show recap because we got a lot to get into. I got some outside of the ring stuff I got to ask you about too. Two things that happened on Raw this week. Let's get into the first. Easy one. On Raw this week, we saw Paul Heyman do the interview with Renee Young where he was crying. He was pouring tears and said, "This is a Brock Lesnar I've never seen before. Unless, nope.
Nope.
Unless, nope, never mind. And he leaves, and we're kind of left with the, wait, what did he mean by never mind? He comes out, leads to Roman Reigns to be a Paul Heyman guy, hits him. Oh, this was just classic heel WWE. Paul Heyman could do it all on the mic. He pleads, become a Paul Heyman guy. Me and you can take out Brock Lesnar. This is going bad. This is going bad. This is going bad. And then he pepper sprays Roman Reigns. And
I've been there.
Do you you think to yourself, what a classic heel move? He cried last week, the week before prior when he had Brock Lesnar had his hands around his throat, and we thought, oh, okay, we're seeing this dastardly, this son of a bitch, Brock Lesnar, and Paul Heyman comes out and pepper sprays Roman Reigns, and you think, okay, this is Paul Heyman pulling one up, and then Brock Lesnar's music hits, and he comes out and beats the crap out of Roman Reigns. I loved that segment. So talk to me before we get into our predictions. What's your thoughts on the buildup? Especially knowing, and Dabi Amore, for those of y'all that don't know, he's a big MMA guy. He's gone off with Guru the God, other special guest on the status of MMA and huge stack cards coming up. Brock Lesnar's going back to MMA. He's going to fight Daniel Cormier, huge money fight. What do you think this does for his WWE, his image in WWE?
I think it's great. I love the whole how they incorporate the UFC angle of it into the WWE storyline. Talking about he's going to go back so far, he's going to shove Brock Lesnar's head up Dana White's ass. I love that aspect. I think it adds so much to the storyline. I think it even gives more credibility to Reigns when he wins, because he's definitely got to win. I believe he's got to win when he's beating not just the Universal Champion, but also former UFC champion and still UFC fighter, because he's fighting Daniel Cormier. I love it, man. I love Heyman. He's got to be the greatest non-wrestling contributor in the sport, dude. He's so good at everything, the talking, the hyping, I just love it, dude. I love everything about it, dude. But I mean, we talked about this before, the whole part-time wrestlers. I feel like it's good when they don't have a belt. Taker thing, the way he's part-time, love it. No belt, it works. Brock's gonna drop that strap, dude. But I love the build-up. I'm actually hyped. I have a list of my top 5 matches I'm looking for at SummerSlam, and that's definitely my top 5. I'm hyped about it, dude.
See, and Sage, it's great you mentioned that, because Sage the Mark and I specifically chimed in on if MMA fighters and part-timers are good for the WWE and quote-unquote best for business, and we both agreed. And I'm glad you're on the same page, because we both definitely agreed, but in the same stance of what you said. They're great when they don't have titles. So there's the stigma of seeing these guys come back. So for example, right now, if you heard, hey, next week on Raw, Triple H is fighting The Undertaker in the main event, you'd tune in thinking, no, I don't care if there's a title on the line. I got to see this. Or Sting is coming back, or whatever the case may be. So I think it's really interesting that you mention it's good from the aspect of the part-timers and what's all going to go on with Raw, I guess, for the most part. And we'll get into our SummerSlam predictions here in just a moment. Now, highlight of Raw, Dean Ambrose, the Ambrose Asylum. Talk to me, Dabi.
Damn. First thing I thought was man, oh boy been hitting the weights.
He's jacked.
He looks jacked, man. That was the first thing I noticed. Obviously, he cut the hair, got a little beard going on. I like that. But I mean, where's the skinny jeans? Where are the classic Dean Ambrose skinny jeans? You can lose the beat, that's fine, because I know you got some new merch. You want to push that new merch. Return to society. That's tight. I like it. But I mean, come on, dude. Give me the skinny jeans, dude. And I like what they're doing, not putting him in a real match where he has to wrestle, just kind of outside floating around for the Seth Rollins match too. But Man, I was amped, dude. I jumped at him. I didn't see it coming, dude. I've been waiting, honestly, for like probably a couple months. I've been like, yo, he's coming back, he's coming back. And then it got so long that he'd been out, I was like, forgot about it, you know? So I feel like it was just really good timing. And, man, it was, I can't wait to see it, dude.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I thought that, I watched Raw and I started Raw and I started texting Sage the Mog. Sage the Mog. I started texting him and I stopped. I said, you know what? I'm going to give this the rest of Raw because you know what Raw's been missing? Let me know if you agree. Let me give you some bands out there listening. Dobby and Mora and I were roommates several years ago. And every Monday night, we would load up on beers and whatever else, food and all that good stuff. And at 8:30, and I think Raw was actually 2 hours back then. At 8:30 Central Time, we would start watching Raw. Dobby was a huge Sheamus mark. Every single time, no matter how tired we were, he would yell out. The second Sheamus came out, when he had the Lobster Head theme song, yell out Sheamus. Except for you didn't yell at one time, but there was some extenuating circumstances, and you
We won't get into that.
no, definitely not getting into that. And we were watching it, and back then, we would chime in, and there was an element to Raw that we would watch where every single week we had that like, oh wow, I didn't think that was going to happen moment. So I started watching Raw this week, and I thought, we haven't had that in a while. We haven't had that. Oh, and it could be a heel turn, a face turn. It could be anything, even just a comment on the mic. But I thought, I haven't had that, oh, wow, moment in a while. Raw comes up with Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins in the ending segment. And I remember thinking, okay, these guys put on a hell of an Iron Man match. They're going to have a match at SummerSlam. Let me just see where this ends up. And once Seth Rollins came out and said, oh, yeah, I had travel issues. No, I didn't have travel issues. And the fans popped. I'm not going to lie. That's the first time in a while on Raw, I sat up and I was on the edge of my seat. And I thought, no way. No, this ain't it. This ain't it. No way. And he says, I had to call a lunatic. And the rules.
No. He said, Dolph, you got that psychopath in your corner. I guess I got to call me a lunatic. That was the line, dude. And that line, oh man, I got up for that one, dude.
The second he said that, and he built up the crowd so well, and he dropped that line, and he even referenced, earlier when you were talking to Kurt, you talked about the rules and having somebody in your corner. I was kind of thinking about the same thing. So he dropped 2, 3, 4 little hints at like, no, he's talking about Dean. And the second that theme song hit, that guitar riff buildup, I marked out, and then I expected him to come out looking the same like he used to, but he comes out just jacked. New merch, new shirt, and did you notice he didn't really go with like a lot of the psychopath stuff? He went in, hit the double arm DDT, Dirty Deeds.
Dirty Deeds, yeah.
And was strictly business. Like, I dug it, man. Huge company.
I feel like he was nervous a little bit, off that long. I feel like there was a little bit of rust there too, which is I'm kind of glad they didn't just automatically put him in a match, but
right.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd see how this Jacked version is, man, because I kind of liked how he was kind of like, the lunatic, and he didn't really care about, being jacked and muscular, And I don't know, man. I hope, honestly, because like my one knock on Ambrose has always been like I love his character. He always gets a big pop, decent on the mic. But I've always like, dude, like your in-ring work isn't as clean as it could be, So I'm hoping that like in this off time he's gotten like blown it up. He's not gonna be a Daniel Bryan, obviously, but I mean, like I just feel like it's always kind of like sloppy matches, just a lot of like striking, and I would like to see more of his matches. Remember when we went to WrestleMania? And this in Dallas, and the stinker of the night was Brock Ambrose, And Brock's a very good fighter. He's a very good wrestler. He puts on very entertaining matches. But that match just stunk the place up, So I'm hoping he comes back, a little more refined wrestling ability, not so sloppy. That's what I'm hoping to see. But like either way, I just want to see him back, dude. It's been a while.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's great to see him back. I think if he, and to be honest with you, him being amazing in the ring, it's his to lose. I feel like he had that brawler, and with his old look, he definitely had that. Man, this guy looks crazy and like he could whoop some ass,
Mm-hmm.
and that he looks like a guy that I would see at the mall, the store. He wasn't overboard jacked. He looked like a normal guy
Yeah.
that was just freaking crazy, especially if you watch Total Divas and see him with Renee Young and stuff like that. He just looked like a normal guy who was like, "Hey man, if you mess with me, I'll kill you. But if you
Speaking
don't."
of, yes. Speaking of Renee, coincidence that she was on the commentary booth that night?
I've thought the same thing. That must have been the most proud night
I'm just
for
saying.
both of them. And
And she
uh,
wasn't great. I'll tell you that. She struggled, but I mean, she's not used to that kind of gig. But I thought she struggled.
no, it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the greatest. And man, love me some Renee Young, but it was more like I was hearing Renee Young, the interviewer, doing commentary. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like half her commentary was just, "Whoa, oh, wow." Like, that was it. I was like,
Yeah, yeah. So,
I ain't gonna
but
cut it. I ain't gonna cut it, girl.
but if somebody said, "Hey, do you want to see her come back next week?" Since you thought it was just kind of par this week, I'd say, yeah, in a heartbeat. Like the sky is no, not the moon is the ceiling for her. Like it's funny because I actually worried about her. I've never said this on the podcast before. This is a first. Matter of fact, I may even post on Twitter a poll question about this. Renee Young, I feel like, let me know, Dobby. A lot of money to be made here. I feel like with the talent that she has, think about it, it's scripted wrestling. With the talent that she has, imagine if she went to the NFL, if she went to Fox Network.
Doing like some Aaron Andrews stuff.
Yep. I
Down
think,
the field.
yeah. Oh, I think that if she went and did some Aaron Andrews, Rachel Nichols work, she would be amazing at it.
I feel like her heart's in wrestling though, man. No doubt, because like her interviewing is fantastic backstage, and yeah, and she obviously has the look. She's beautiful. She's not scared of the camera. Like she's good, but I feel like her heart's in wrestling. I don't think she would ever do that. But you're right, though. I bet they could offer her more money than what she's getting now. Yeah, no doubt.
Especially with the WWE Fox deal. That's
Oh
big.
yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
But yeah, I don't know, man. The Ambrose thing, dude, I'm excited to see him back, but I want to see some improvement in the wrestling. So my question is, I kind of like thought about it, like he's coming back. This was kind of be a good time to come back and go heel.
We'll
The
get to
guy
that.
that
We'll
got
get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in the middle. We'll get to that in a little bit. Because his look from when he came back, and obviously him coming back begs for a true Shield reunion. We'll get to that when we get into our SummerSlam predictions.
all right,
So
I'll keep it in the chamber.
yeah, for sure. So outside the ring, I got to ask you a question, and we'll get into our SummerSlam predictions. I got the card pulled up right here. I got to ask. So Dave Meltzer, I think you've heard the name before. Big time wrestling journalist, blogger, etc., etc. He made a comment today, like an idiot. Stepped on his words. He said, I believe this was today, or it was on his podcast, or something like that. You can go on Twitter and find it out. He said Peyton Royce. You know, Peyton Royce, Billy Kay, the Iconics.
She's hot.
Oh, beautiful. Both of the
She's in Darby's
Iconics.
top 5. She's in Darby's top 5.
So he made the reference to, I don't know if this was innocent or what, but Twitter's going off on him. He said that Peyton Royce's work was a bit better in NXT. You could check out the audio, all that good stuff, but Peyton Royce's work, he preferred her, or he liked her work, or he liked her, whatever the case may be, better in NXT, and that she was a little bit lighter. So it's all on Twitter. It's out there. If you go on there, Billy Kay just tweeted a response to it not long ago. Peyton Royce said, lighter. Well, this is where the issues begin. And I'm paraphrasing here. You can go on Twitter and check it out. Lighter, this is where weight problems with women begin. Sorry, I'm not skinny or whatnot. Um, and those girls are nothing short of just amazing athletes, beautiful.
Gorgeous.
So, what are your thoughts on this Dave Meltzer guy and this is coming from, I've got a podcast. I know who Dave Meltzer is. You got to give kudos to the guy for being in the wrestling game for so long. I don't know if you've seen the guy. I don't know if he can judge people on other looks. Like me, I can. I'm starting to get gap teeth. Which by the way, I think I'm gonna go full gap. Eddie Murphy can pull it off, so I think I can too.
I think so
So
too. Do it.
yeah, like full gap. So thoughts like the, to me, looking at Nikki Cross, Karma, Nia Jax, there's so many women who aren't the traditional, 100-pound fitness beauty model looks that are amazing in the ring. So in women's wrestling, does do looks matter anymore? I don't feel they do.
No, I believe back there was a time when it was all about the looks. It certainly helps nowadays, but I mean, I think now since we're seeing, I think not even arguably, like we are seeing the greatest era of women wrestling of all time. Like it's fantastic, and it's not just the looks. Like these women are insanely good athletes. What they do in the ring is something I've never seen before with women. Like I already showed you, like I love Charlotte. Like I get up for those moonsaults at the top rope, like just like the amazing wrestling, like just it's so good. So I don't think it matters as much because they're so talented. Like I mean, this guy he's obviously well known throughout the business, but I mean, I think just stick to like rating matches and like stay off the other stuff. Because like I love wrestlers like Nia Jax. I love wrestlers like Karma. I love those big wrestlers. I was a big Bull Nagano fan back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember her, but she was awesome. I loved her. I just lay off the weight, man. Because if a girl can wrestle, a girl can work the mic, a girl can like get a pop, dude. Like I don't care what that waist looks like.
Yeah, what does it matter? And shout outs to Stephen Thatch, one of our loyal listeners. Stephen Thatch is live watching right now. I have a good feeling if he ever had any thoughts tonight on Dabi Amore on the podcast, he'd probably comment on tonight. What up, Stephen Thatch in the chat? We
I
had a
got
shirt.
2 words for Stephen Thatch. Gaba!
For those of y'all listening, we do this live. Follow us on Twitter. We put out the live link. I agree. Looks don't matter. That might be a topic we got to sit on. That looks don't matter in wrestling anymore. Little backstory. I'm gonna take you back a year to all the listeners out there. Dabi Amore and I knew, and we're wrestling fans. We're WWE fans. Up until about, what would you say, a year ago? We were no, what, 2 years? Maybe 2 years? We were only WWE before we branched out to the independents?
Yeah, 2.5.
So we went to our first show, I believe, and it was the first ROH show ever in San Antonio. And Dabi Amore and I went to this show, and we didn't know anything about the independents. It was WWE and NXT. That's all we really knew. And these people kept telling us as we showed up to the event, hey, there's a guy named Kevin Steen, fight Steen, fight Steen, fight. And we thought, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And you have to understand at ROH, these event places are small. Chances are the wrestlers are walking around, using the restroom, going to the vending machine, getting some water, going to grab a snack, bite to eat locally in the place. And we kept saying, who's this Steen guy? He's supposed to be the best wrestlers ever, one of the best wrestlers ever. He main evented the show that night, and he came out, and this is no knock on him. I don't mean this in a bad way, but we expected, okay, this guy's going to come out, look like John Cena, be a real cookie cutter wrestler. And Kevin Steen came out, and I looked at Dabi Amore, and we looked at each other like, who is this guy? He doesn't have the look. He's just not traditional wrestler look. And we were wowed by his performance that night. The cannonball, everything that he hit that night, we thought, this guy has the agility of almost like a Rey Mysterio type thing. Like, wait a minute, what have we been missing with the independent scene? We saw Red Dragon, they're in NXT right now. We saw AJ Styles. We saw so many people at ROH at that night. And in wrestling right now, especially with the emergence of Daniel Bryan over the past few years, Size isn't the 80s size, the big bulks, the Braun Strowmans, it doesn't matter anymore.
I mean,
So
it helps because we know Vinnie Mac loves that. But I mean,
yeah, Vinnie Mac loves the Braun Strowmans, which by the way, Braun Strowman is, I'm not gonna lie, he's pretty badass.
he's incredible, dude. I'm a huge Braun Strowman fan. But when you think about guys like Samoa Joe, doesn't fit that mold, you know? Kind of a chubby looking guy, dude. But you know, like, when you see that guy, like, you know, he can whoop some ass. I think about on the opposite side of the spectrum, like Shinsuke Nakamura. Guy looks like he's never lifted a weight in his life, right? But huge pop, pretty good in the ring, you know, like that kind of stuff. You know, like I feel like it's the same thing. You know, it's not all about just like the size, the muscles, the build. You know, like can you go in the
Right.
ring? Can you get over? Can you work the mic? You know.
So you're a numbers guy, you're a stats guy. I need to know, uh, your best friend, love you to death. I need to know specifically. Give me a number here. What percentage of the Vince McMahon loving big muscular guys succeed, and we'll judge success based on Braun Strowman? And when I say success, I mean you don't have to be a champion or anything like that, but you're in the WWE for 5, 10 years versus guys who are undersized. So who has the longer career longevity here? We're not talking about money, contracts, any of that, but just who's in the WWE longer? The Vince McMahon hosses or the undersized guys? And I'm going to use the current examples of Dolph Ziggler and Braun Strowman. Who do you think actually lasts longer in the WWE?
Man, that's a good question because it's tough because obviously the greater chance of success based on what you know the CEO of the company likes, you know, which is the big, strong 6'5", you know, 275 jack guys, right?
Cena, Reigns, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, those kind of guys, yeah. But I mean, like, think about it is like when he pushes those guys and he shoves them in your throat, like sometimes they will get there, but I feel like the lifespan of them on top, other than like Cena's and stuff like that, like it's kind of short. Whereas a guy who's like truly talented, such as like a Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, that kind of thing, you know, like I feel like they have a longer lifespan in the mid card area, and they can somewhat kind of like jump up and peak up in the main events here and there. I feel like they have a longer lifespan than the bigger guys. Because the bigger guys, you know, he'll shove like Ryback in your throat, trying to make him the next Goldberg, and then Ryback's done in 2 years. You know, I feel like
yeah.
it's real hit or miss. Those guys, like, you just shove them down your throat. If you take it, then that's cool. They'll be there for a little bit. But if you don't, then they don't really go to mid card. They kind of like fade away. You know. So
Yeah,
I
I
feel
agree.
like the other guys can have a good lifespan in the mid card, and they can have a long career.
I agree. And I think that it kind of comes down to like, I'm making up numbers here. I don't know how much these guys get paid, but it'd be like, hey, Dobby, I got this deal for you. You're one of these big jack guys. I'm going to pay you $5 million for 2 years. So you make $10 million in 2 years. Great money, all that good stuff. Or, hey, Goose, you're kind of undersized or whatever. Hey, what if I sign you for a 10-year contract, $1 million a year? Anybody out there in a heartbeat would take making $1 million a year over 10 years rather than 10 million over two. So I think that the money aspect plays into a factor as well as the size aspect. But we talked about it. Sage Mark actually talked about it last 2 weeks ago. We took a week off. It was a holiday, little vacation moment, the summer solstice that I mentioned earlier moment last week where we didn't have the show. Sage and Mark talked about in the Great Debate too how right now wrestling is at an all-time high because we have multiple styles of wrestling. We have MMA fighters and Shayna Baszler, Brock Lesnar. We have the lunatic fringe style where it's just wilding out. We have a submission style, ground style, European style, strong style. There's so many different styles in wrestling that we didn't truly, truly, truly have before. And that goes in with your weight class too. That goes in with your height, your weight, your reach, your size, your look, and all that those things. So it's glad to see that Dabi Amore is on the show today, and he kind of he downplays the crap that Dave Meltzer says. You gotta be careful. If Dave Meltzer didn't mean it in a bad way, you got to be careful about what you say, man. It's just we look at James Gunn, the guy who got canned, unfortunately, for something he said 10 years ago from Guardians of the Galaxy. And, just sensitive world these days. You got to be careful of what you say. Now, there's something I'm not going to be careful on, and that's our SummerSlam predictions. Dobby, you ready to get in these SummerSlam predictions?
Man, I've been waiting all damn day for this, Goose. Let's do it.
Okay. So we'll be kind of quick on these first couple of matches here because I feel like these are kickoff show matches, so they're going to be good matches regardless because these guys go all out. Andrade Cien Almas and Selena Vega, the most beautiful. This is a beautiful woman match versus Rusev and Lana Day, or Rusev Day and Lana Day, or Rusev number one and Lana number one, however you want to say it. Andrade Cien Almas and Selena Vega versus Rusev and Lana. By far, two of the most beautiful women on SmackDown, or just in wrestling in general. So, who do you got in the kickoff show?
I gotta say, first of all, like it kind of pisses me off, dude, to see like Rusev is work. He's one of those guys, you know. I mean, he does have the size kind of thing, dude, but he's just one of those like fan favorites, but not really like a corporate, you know, McMahon favorite. It seems like, and to be him get so over with this Rusev Day gimmick, and then even like go fight like for the title and like main event, and then right after that, people are loving this. They're like, all right, cool. Now you're not even main card on SummerSlam. You're just kickoff show. Like to me, I'm like, come on, dude. Like, don't build them up here and give us what we want, and just kick them right back down at the curb. You know, my money is because Andrade's, you know, the newer one up and coming. Rusev's more established. I think they use this match to get Andrade over on Rusev to put him over a little bit more. Man, that's what I think.
Isn't that Rusev's MO though? Like, let's build him up and then have him lose, and then build him back up, have him lose.
I hate it though, man. To be fighting like for the title, and then automatically from there you just go straight down to not even on the main card. Like to me, I hate it, dude. Like give the guy a little more respect. It is kind of his MO. He's good at it, and people always buy back into him. But man, I feel like he deserves more respect to me, dude.
I agree, especially since you have to remember Rusev is a combo deal. So if something doesn't work out with Rusev in WWE or Lana in WWE, they both can leave and show up at a show like All In, the Chicago show, the independent show. That's going to be the first weekend in September. So I think that Rusev's got a lot going for him. So I'm in the same boat. I've got Andrade picking up the W. I think that there's just more him winning. He benefits more out of the win than Rusev out of the loss. Now, Cruiserweight Championship match, Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak. I'll be honest, I don't watch 205 Live. Call me a bad podcaster. Hit me up, 419-777-IRWP, and call me a bad podcaster. Like, it's tough to watch. If I've got to watch all the show, you heard on the Great Debate a couple weeks ago, I said 205 Live is going to be gone at the end of next year. There's no disrespect to the talent because, man, those guys put on some amazing matches. I don't want it to go away, but it's phased out of Raw. I'm gonna go with Cedric the. I almost said Cedric the Entertainer. I'm gonna go with Cedric Alexander because he's super talented, and regardless of weight class or 205 or cruiserweights, I think he'd do amazing on the main roster.
Yeah, man, I agree with you 100%. Like, I don't watch it a whole lot. I'll catch it here and there, but like, I honestly don't know why like it fails. You know, because like they are talented guys. They put on some good matches, but like. I remember like one of my happiest times of watching wrestling was back in WCW, the Cruiserweight division, Dean Malenko, Billy Kidman, you know, all of them. Like that was, and Jericho was part of that too. Like I remember that, and I was wanting that to come back to have lightweights going at it, and now it's here, and it doesn't feel the same at all. So like I can see why they're doing this undercard, but yeah, I just say the champion retains. But I don't know what they're gonna do with this 205 division, man, because I just feel like it's not working.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, we want it to work. So speaking of 205, we have another smaller guy that I believe will be on the main show. I'm pretty sure this will be on the main show. Finn Balor, smaller guy. I'm sure he could fit in classic well with the 205 Live crew. But Finn Balor is fighting Baron Corbin, and this feud has been going on for a while. Excuse me, his name isn't Baron Corbin. It's Constable.
Get it right. Get it right.
Constable Corbin. Maybe we could agree. You've heard me on the podcast before. I'm a big fan of Baron Corbin. I think he could be. It's in his hands to be one of the greatest big men of all time because he's got the agility for it, and he's just flat out bigger than everybody else. But this match kind of falls into the. Would you give this match assuming I assume you know most of the SummerSlam card, the piss break match of the card.
Uh, no, I can't go that far because I love my boy Finn Balor. Not gonna lie, I would
Yeah,
love to see the Demon come out, but does this kind of match, this Baron Corbin match, really deserve the Demon here? No, it definitely does not. But I mean, I still love my boy Finn. I'm gonna save my piss bag for another match down the road, dude.
all right, so you're gonna go with Finn Balor picking up the dub in this match.
Yeah, because either way, like Corbin still has that role as a commissioner. It doesn't change regardless of whether he wins or loses. I think just like give Balor another boost. Balor boosts the W. I think.
Now let's get into. We just talked about Finn Balor piss break matches, and I think that we'd be remiss to not talk about a match like that with guys who could get a boost or who can't get a boost with a win or loss without going into the Raw Tag Team Championship match of the B Team versus the Revival. So on Raw, the B Team, retained their titles in the Triple Threat match, and now the Revival. This match, I feel like, might get unfortunately pushed back to the kickoff show or just dropped altogether for time. But the B Team versus the Revival. Just for me to chime in, I hate to say this, but the Revival has not been as big on Raw as they were in NXT. And we do have NXT TakeOver coming up soon. It I would love to see the Revival win, but I'd want to see them win in a longer feud because those guys are super talented. So I have the B Team picking up the W.
Yeah, same here. I love what they're doing with the B Team, getting Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, some play. Shout out to Revival though, like they did use the heart attack on
They did.
Hardy on Monday Night Raw as they're paying homage to the late great Jim Neidhart, the Anvil. That was pretty tight, but I feel like I love what they're doing, boosting up these guys, Bo Dallas and them. But like, you can't end it right now. You can't let them lose this match. The Revival, we're gonna keep it going. I would just say I'm like Revival win it later, but not right now. Especially like on a, like this, early in the card. Like I say, it's gotta be the B Team retaining.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I think that with the feud the way it is, I think the Revival has a long career ahead of them, but I think that the B Team retain. Now, let's we should keep going with tag team champions. The Bludgeon Brothers versus the New Day. I've got Bludgeon Brothers easily picking up the win here. I kind of think this feud's. I feel like this feud is overplayed. It's done. There's a lot more that could be done with the SmackDown Tag Champs. I just feel like this feud is kind of dragging on, and it's almost like the New Day can pretty much do anything because they're great in the ring and they're great on the mic, great characters. Let's just kind of continue the feud on.
Yeah, this to me is kind of like my piss break match. Like I really don't care about this feud anymore. I think the Bludgeon Brothers kind of need the belts more than the New Day because the New Day's gimmick is so much better. Their merch is great. Their gimmicks are awesome. Who doesn't love Udios? So I feel like just keep the belts with the champs. And let's move on from this feud.
Yeah, by far. I think the New Day, if you look at them, they have a lot going for them because they haven't done. I mean, they did the introductory heel run or whatever when they were new, but it turned into a complete face run. They haven't done a true heel run yet, so they've got another 2, 3, 4 years in their career to just do a ton without the titles. And those guys are so over; they could do pretty much anything for the most part without the titles. Now, speaking of titles, I was kind of debating should we get into Daniel Bryan, Miz, etc. before this, but let's keep titles. Let's keep titles on the subject. You son of a bitch. Let's keep titles on the subject. Where do you want to start? Do you want to go with the U.S. title, match, Jeff Hardy and Shinsuke Nakamura, or do you want to go Intercontinental with Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins?
Let's start with my boy Shinsuke. I got his swag on right now. I love me some Shinsuke. I'm digging this feud, man. I love me some Jeff Hardy. I know we had some talk a while back not too long ago, actually, about Jeff Hardy. How he was over in our generation earlier on. Now he's back, and now these younger generation, he's over on them too. Like he's an underrated wrestler overall, just an underrated wrestler. I love it, man. I love this feud. But I don't know. It's tough because I kind of going back to what I was thinking about the New Day. I feel like Jeff Hardy would kind of need the belt a little bit more than Shinsuke does because Shinsuke has more of an over gimmick. But I still think Shinsuke comes out with his W, man. I really do, man. But I love this kind of rejuvenated Jeff Hardy since he came back to WWE. But I think Shinsuke gets his W.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think it does more for Shinsuke as a heel to win the title and move on. Maybe they have some Randy Orton fuckery. Who knows? I like what Jeff Hardy's got going on with the new look, with the eyes and the face paint and all that stuff, because it keeps him not necessarily broken or woken, but enigmatic. It keeps him in that mysterious role. Jeff Hardy is. You and I talked about it at the lake a couple weeks ago. Dobby and I, we went and talked wrestling. We went to the lake. We took a day off work and decided, let's go out, get some beers, get some barbecue, and go to the Lake of Resurrection. Let's go out and be purified in this Lake of Resurrection and talk wrestling. And one of the debates we had from the Great Debate, which you can go listen to the previous 2 episodes, was how big could Jeff Hardy have been? But there's got to be something said when somebody is generationally big. In this generation, he's getting over with the kids, but the kids don't know his background. So I love what Jeff Hardy's doing and what he's got going for him. I actually think he'd be a great part-timer, maybe fighting every just on pay-per-views type thing. But I do have him losing this match. I don't know if there'll be some interference. I don't know if he'll be losing clean. I kind of hope not. But it's just so good that Shinsuke Nakamura is just this awesome heel. You know what I mean? Like, it's just he's just this terrible heel. Like, just hey man, you're full of shit. At the end of the day, when he says like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't speak English," you're like, "Dude, you're full of shit. You've just been. This is horrible. And I think that they're doing great with Shinsuke Nakamura, and they've changed the music to where you can't really sing to it now. Titles. Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins. We got to get into that. So, Dobby, without saying your prediction for the match, give me the ending. Give me the final 2 minutes of this match. How does it go down? You've hinted at it earlier.
I did hint at it earlier. You kind of shut me down, hold it off. But, man, dude, I feel like Dean Ambrose is, he's on Rollins' side for a majority of the match. He takes out McIntyre, and I think it's kind of like putting final touches on, to Dolph. And I think I see a dirty deeds in Rollins' near future, man. I feel like it's going to be heel turn. He's going to come back as a heel. He's going to plan him. Ziggler beats him, retains the title, and then from there on we go to a feud of Ambrose versus Rollins, which I kind of dig. I like them feuding, So I think Ambrose is going to come back. New look, no skinny jeans. He's got the beard, got the cut hair. He's jacked. He's a new guy. He's turning on Rollins. They're feuding after this, dude. Ziggler gets the win, dude. That's what I see.
So I'm in the same boat. I think that Ziggler with the title with Drew McIntyre in his corner is much more enticing than Seth Rollins with the title, because it kind of reminds me of Shawn Michaels and Diesel.
Yeah,
and I think maybe
heel click. I love it.
That's the first thing I think when I think of them two together. And then one day Ziggler will turn on McIntyre, or McIntyre will turn on Ziggler, and then they'll have their feud and all that. So I talked to Drew Amore this week. He texted me and said, I think Ambrose turns at SummerSlam. So will I be disappointed if the turn doesn't happen? No. But do I think it should happen? Yes. So needless to say, in my SummerSlam prediction, I do have Dolph Ziggler leaving. I do have him winning the match. I have him leaving with the championship. I'll say that. Maybe it's outside interference, or maybe even Dean Ambrose causes a DQ or something. But I think that there's going to be more to the story. Now, let's go with the women's championships, because I want to save Daniel Bryan and The Miz before we get into the title fights, because Daniel Bryan and The Miz is a huge fight. So the SmackDown Women's Championship, triple threat, Carmella, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte. I actually have Carmella winning this one. by hook or by crook. I think that the triple threat kind of saves her from beating somebody individually, but it can help continue feuds. So if whoever she ends up pinning, I think that it could help continue those feuds going forward.
Yeah, man, the triple threat could be either way, though. I feel like it could also be an excuse to like have a champion drop the strap and not look weak because they wouldn't get pinned or submitted because it's a triple threat match. But before this week, I was all about Becky Lynch, man. I love me some Becky Lynch, but she finished way too strong on the go home show on SmackDown. You know, getting that W, the submission win. I
Yeah.
was like, when you finish that strong, like you're not gonna win at the pay per view. You know, so I think honestly, dude. I think Carmella keeps it too, man. I think she does. She's had a decent run yet, you know, so far. It's definitely not gonna be Becky. For some reason, I just don't see them giving it back to Charlotte this year. She'll eventually get the belt back, but I think it's too soon. I think that'll happen later on, maybe even this year. But I don't
Right.
think it happens at SummerSlam on Sunday, dude.
No, I'm totally in the same boat. I think that it's not going to happen yet. She'll definitely get her due diligence, and she'll have her title reigns. Other women's match, the Raw women's match, Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey. I think that this, based on how well Ronda Rousey has done in the ring already, if there was any match that I could say could steal the show, I would think it's this match. I think Alexa Bliss can go in the ring, she can go on the mic, and she can we'll find out this weekend if she could carry a Ronda Rousey. But Ronda Rousey has done nothing but impress me with Ronda Rousey and Brock are two people who were born once they were born, they were 100% bred to be athletes, and they could sell in the ring, they can go in the ring, they could make a move look like, "Oh man, you really hurt this person." And then they will, on top of that, sell a move like, "Oh wait, somebody really hit them." So I think Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey could ultimately steal the night, but I have Ronda Rousey losing to Alexa Bliss because, and this is just a completely thrown out random prediction, I think Natty's going to interfere and make Ronda Rousey lose. I thought for a while they were going to go with a Natty and Ronda Rousey feud because Natty's a veteran. She can kind of handle her own and do whatever she needs to carry somebody. Rousey's been amazing in the ring. I don't think they're going to put the title on her this soon. What do you think?
Yeah, it's too soon for the title for me because like she hasn't gotten stale at all yet. Like I speak for everybody when I think like, and you know me, I'm a huge UFC fanboy. I like Ronda Rousey, and I thought like when she came to WWE, she'd be like, man, she's gonna be super green. It's gonna be hard to watch for a while. Mike's skill's gonna be subpar. Wrestling's gonna be sloppy, but it hasn't been any of that, dude.
It's been amazing so far.
It's been average mic skills, which I thought were going to be well below average. It was average. And then in the ring, I thought she's been spectacular, man. Like, just unreal. Gets a big pop. What still kills me about her is, like, I want to buy her as being, like, this kind of like a stone cold killer coming in here to just really mess you up. Then she walks around with this, like, ear to ear, love that Joker smile. I'm like, can we just lose that smile, at least for matches, you know? When she comes out for, like, promos, okay, yeah, it's fine. Clap hands, you know, with the fans, that's fine. But for a match, dude, like, lose the smile. Like, just come in with the heart. UFC surgery that UFC matches, you know, that's what I want to see out of her. But man, like, every time I go into one of her matches, I'm like, man, this is gonna be probably gonna be one of the best matches of the night, and it turns out being one of the best matches of the night. So she hasn't gotten stale yet, so I don't think she really needs that belt right now. I think when it starts kind of wearing down a little bit, maybe like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now, and so I throw the belt on her, give her a little bit of a boost. But yeah, give me Bliss, dude. And man, Bliss is the hottest chick in the WWE right now. I'll tell you right now.
So could you imagine? You realize one day, probably at WrestleMania, we're gonna get. Hopefully, it's a super scripted match, all that good stuff. Just a great match in general. there's a good chance we may get Asuka versus Ronda Rousey.
That's that to me is like I don't care about a belt or anything. I just want to see that match happen. Like same,
Oh,
that kind of feels like almost like Nakamura styles. I don't care if there's a belt. I just want to see these two go at it, dude. See what happens.
oh yeah, it's gonna be amazing. So, yep, we're in the same boat. We got Alexa Bliss leaving with the championship. So before we get into the main event championships, and we got to wrap up pretty soon. Let's go Daniel Bryan and The Miz. This match is, I feel like it's a match with no title on the line that could main event the show. And I think WWE is going to go ahead. It's not going to be their first match by far, but I think that Daniel Bryan's going to come out with the win.
Yeah, man. This to me, I feel like sometimes like these really good matches they fall short on hype because the way WWE leads up to it, But like the promos they've been doing for this match, 8 years in the making, the whole like the Miz was his mentor, like that to me, I'm really buying into it. Like I love the hype going into this match. To me, yeah, honestly, I wish it was a main event, honestly, dude. But I feel like I'd be cool too because we know it's not going to be the main event because there's no belt implications on it. I feel like I'd be cool with it too being the opening match because sometimes they'll have like a title as an opening match, like a world title, universal title, something like that. I feel like it'd be cool with the opening match and just start the show off like with a bang. That's one of the greatest matches of the night. I feel like this is going to steal the show, and I wouldn't mind it happening early on either. But yeah, this is one of the most well hyped matches I've seen in a long time. Daniel Bryan's got to get the W, man. But dude, I'm just digging it. Shout out to Ms. and Mrs. Watching that show on USA, dude. If you haven't watched it, check it out. This is great, dude. And Maurice is hot.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I've been watching it. It's a damn good show. Now, on that note, we got to go with the championship matches. Get into it. Because I'm expecting more of some craziness in the Brock Lesnar match. We'll get to that last. But let's get into AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. This is a match that also could steal the show. I think that the only reason it doesn't steal the show over the Alexa Ronda Rousey is because the expectations are automatically set so high for wrestling fanboys. And man, we're wrestling fanboys, like those wrestling fanboys. I think that this match could be good, but I feel like AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe is going to be a great match. We're going to have a good match, all that good stuff. But I feel like it's episode 1 of the whole season of a show. So I feel like I feel like Styles is going to win. I'm picking Styles to win. But it's not the end of their story. It's like episode 1 of a new season of your favorite show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel just kind of like in contrast to the hype of Daniel Bryan, The Miz. I feel like the hype of this fight hasn't really been great. I'm not as excited about this one, but I know just because like Samoa Joe and Styles can both just legit go in the ring, that makes me excited about this fight. But overall, it's not a very well hyped fight. Like the going home show of SmackDown about this, like Samoa Joe reading the text in terms of this from AJ Styles and Wi-Fi. To me, like that doesn't do anything for me. They could have done something better than that. It's going to be a great match, but I'm actually going with the upset here. I think Styles had the belt for quite a while. I think Samoa Joe is actually in line to get a big push to get a belt. I'm gonna go with Samoa Joe getting the W, man, clean on Styles.
So you think he chokes him out?
I think he chokes him out, dude. He doesn't tap. Does the whole the arms thing, and he passes out. And I think Joe gets a clean W, man, for the belt.
That'd be huge. If
And
Joe
so,
wins with
yeah,
the
okay,
sleeper hold, yeah, the cocaine and clutch, that'd be huge.
mm-hmm.
So
That's what I'm seeing.
now the main event. This is clearly, because of the names involved, going to be the main event of the night. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Now, what makes this match so interesting is that the UFC is not on the line, but Brock is, I don't know who his PR guy is or if he does it himself. He's mastered the art of PR and making a crap ton of money. The UFC, the Daniel Cormier fight is on the line. So if Brock loses this match, then we all know, which we expect, hey, Brock's going to lose this match and go off to UFC. The last time those rumors started, a couple years ago, Brock didn't lose. And he didn't go back to UFC, or he still went back to UFC and he fought Mark Hunt. This match is tough to call because Roman Reigns doesn't necessarily need to win to still be a really over guy. And Brock Lesnar doesn't need to win to be a super over guy. Like, there's no, you have to win to help your career or anything like that. And I have a theory that I've said on this podcast. You never, ever, ever bet against Roman Reigns. If ever there were odds, it's like betting against the Patriots. If you bet on the Patriots in football to beat a spread over the past, I'm going to make up numbers here. Let me know if you agree or disagree. If I bet on the Patriots to beat the spread or the money line, I probably would have won, not a ton of money, but I probably would have won 70% of the time.
Vegas is pretty good about those spreads, man. I'd say 60.
We'll say money line. We'll say money line, which means just to the fans listening out there, are the Patriots going to beat somebody? Yes or no? If you bet on the Patriots,
yeah, that's more like 80% because they won like 80% of the games.
Yeah, regardless of payouts or whatever. So I feel like that's where we're at with Roman Reigns. Is if over the past 5 years, 2-3 years, you bet Roman Reigns would win, regardless of anything, the odds would be in your favor.
Agreed, yes, but I feel like, to me, I feel like the part-time champ is starting to get stale, and I gotta believe that WWE knows about it. So I feel like, I know more recently with Brock, like thinking about going to UFC, like there was never a big profile match lined up really. Now there is a big profile match lined up, so we know he's leading, like for sure. So I feel like it's getting stale not having a full-time champion, and I think it's gonna go to Roman Reigns. I think Reigns gets the W. To me, it's I can see a lot of boos when it happens, but I think he's more over than he has been in the past. Reigns has. So, but to me, given the departure, the big profile match he has set up already, the staleness of the part-time champion, to me, it's Roman Reigns wins this match and walks away with the belt.
Yeah, I agree. I think Roman Reigns takes the W. I'm gonna watch because I'm curious to see how it pans out. Because if we remember in their last match, Roman Reigns I think took 6 F5s before he finally lost. So it's gonna be a complete Avengers over the top. Like both these guys are gonna kick out of a ton of finishers and all that stuff. Mm. So I'm curious just to see how it pans out. Now, before we wrap up the show, does Brock lose to Daniel Cormier?
Yes, he does.
How?
I believe I know it's hard to believe because Brock's so huge and he does have a legit wrestling background, but I believe Cormier can like literally just like take him down and probably choke him out, dude. Like similar to a Anthony Joshua type match. I mean, you think about it, Brock is in his 40s now. He's a part-time fighter at best. Hasn't fought anybody legit in, 4 or 5 years? And Cormier is arguably the greatest MMA fighter of all time. Like, it's a no-brainer. Like, for anybody to tell me that Brock's favored or has a chance to win, to me, it's blasphemy, dude. Like, it's
okay. So let me just throw this out there from a fanboy and your best friend. We could argue Vulcan, the punchers that Cormier's fought at 205. He's taken him down. He's choked him out.
Anthony Johnson.
Anthony Rumble Johnson. Volkan Ozdemir, was that I forget how to pronounce the last guy's name.
Yeah, that's good.
but he's
Alexander
Cormier.
Gustafsson.
I'm just going with the Vulcan and the Gustafsson. That was a tough fight, but
Yeah.
he's Cormier has been on record and said, yeah, these punchers they all get choked out quick. We can't. I feel like, and let me know if you disagree. I feel like we can't compare guys who weigh 205 pounds to guys who cut to 265 pounds. I feel like when you say, well, Daniel Cormier choked out guys at 205 that were strikers and punchers. These guys were cutting down to 205 and made weight. Now we're talking about a Brock Lesnar who cuts down to 265 to make weight. So I feel like, and then watching Brock Lesnar take down Mark Hunt, a guy who's not known for being taken down, who's got a small frame in general. He's not the tallest guy on the block, but he's got a big frame. Excuse me, big frame, but not a lot of height. And Brock Lesnar took him down like he was a fucking 10-year-old. Brock is a forever contender, regardless if he's going to win or lose. But I feel like to the UFC fans, any argument that you make against Brock versus Cormier has been proven to work.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Cormier being a 205 fighter, like he weighed in at 235 against Stipe, and Stipe at this point in time is considered the best heavyweight of all time, considering how many times he's defended the belt, which is more than
correct.
And so Cormier didn't, he came in at 235, which is around Stipe's weight, and he didn't just choke him out. Like he outstruck him, he knocked him out. He didn't even wrestle him, he didn't choke him out, he didn't do anything. He knocked him out, clear cut. So I obviously Brock's gonna have we'll say 70 pounds on Cormier,
at least.
So yeah, but I mean, Cormier is a little bit younger. Cormier is an actual full-time fighter. Cormier is arguably the GOAT. He's a 205 champion.
But that's 70 pounds, not just like the difference between me and you. That's 70 pounds of athleticism muscle, Dobby.
Athleticism is great, but that doesn't make you a good fighter. He's never proven to be an astounding striker. I'm just saying, dude. It's to me, it's a clear-cut victory by Cormier, man.
So how does Cormier finish the fight? He's clearly not going to choke him out.
Honestly, I think he knows he's a better striker than Brock, and he'll land more punches, but Brock's gonna has those big old ham hocks. So Brock, when he lands, is gonna hurt a lot more than when Cormier lands. So I think Cormier is gonna start setting up the strikes, and then he'll take him down, and I think he'll choke him out.
Wow, that's big, and especially because Brock, by nature, with just having huge hands and a huge frame, he doesn't have to have punching power to hurt you.
He just has to raise you.
Correct. It's just I happen to have a 15-pound hand. Doesn't matter how hard I throw it, it's going to knock out most people. Brock's a freak. There's people forget that. People, give him shit about going to the UFC, but Brock is a freak. To do what he's done in his life is not normal at all. So I still have Cormier winning that fight if it does go down. Maybe we'll have you as a guest back on the show. I think that Cormier wins it because of the technicality, just of he has just so much higher of an IQ in MMA than Brock. So I think if Brock tags him, I think Cormier will know, not going to trade punches with this guy. Let me see what else I can do. Or, hey, I'm going to get this guy to the ground. Then we'll see how great he fights off his back. You know what I mean? I think that Cormier's just got so much higher of an IQ than Brock does.
Yeah, and obviously Brock's a better athlete, but I mean Cormier just higher IQ. I feel like Cormier is more of a legit fighter, while Brock's more of just an elite athlete. But yeah, to me it's just an easy decision, Cormier, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, this week we've had a hell of a show. Dobby Amore, I gotta say I'm super pumped, super thrilled that you were on the show this week. Thank you for coming out.
Man, I love being on this show. I'm a huge fan of this show. Anytime you email me here and say to Mark, just saying, bro, I'm not finished with you.
Yes. So, hey guys, we've had a hell of a show this week. A lot going on. A lot going on this week. We didn't even have time to get into our NXT Brooklyn Takeover predictions. For the record, I got Gargano and Ciampa. I'm going to say Gargano keeps the title. I actually have both of these guys getting called up pretty soon and continuing the feud, actually. So more to come on that. Sage, Mark, and I. Sage will be back next week, and we'll be going over kind of our recap of SummerSlam and NXT Takeover. A lot of stuff going on in wrestling next week and this weekend. We got SummerSlam, we got NXT Takeover, and in the next coming weeks, we got the All-In recap that we're gonna the All-In recap and All-In predictions we're gonna be doing. Pentagon Jr. versus Kenny Omega. Pentagon Jr. too, by the way. Stat card. So we got a lot of stuff going on. I gotta thank my boy Dabi Amore. Hit up dabiamore@gmail.com. It's your boy Ben Goosen 417.
Hey, yo, when you coming out that closet, bro? When you coming out that closet?
Go ahead and buy these IRWP dresses that you can see right behind me if you're tuning into the YouTube version. 419-777 IRWP, 419-77 IRWP. Hit us up. It's at Real WrestleCast. For the record, we are trying to get 100 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the month. We do great, over 2,000 downloads. 2,000 downloads.
What?
Yes, so we're super appreciative. Hey, we just congratulations are expressed today are that of the IRWP and not of the host. Again, everybody, we appreciate it. Keep it real.